Okay. Well, I know nobody's here because I hit the wrong button again, but I'm going to put a question up here in the top. So if you have gardening questions, please ask in the question area at the top. Boom. Okay. Yeah, so if you're watching this afterwards, there's a button and it keeps pulling up the wrong camera. So I have to basically I set everything up and then I stop it and start over, and it's super annoying. So hey, 54 Cal, how's it going? It's super annoying. One day I'll get it right, but until that time, I'm sorry to jumble everybody up. But I see the people that were there before have found me, so welcome everybody. Hey, Twisted Pixie, 54 Cal, and whoever else. If you've got like actual questions that don't just come up in conversation, there should be a box somewhere around there that will point you into that direction to write the question. If not, you can ask it in the chat. It doesn't matter to me. It just asked me to do that, so I did it. But we are here just to answer your gardening questions. This is what you guys wanted to do last time I went live. So if you've got gardening questions, fire away. We can talk about whatever you want that matter to me. I got nothing prepared. I got is it is 94 degrees today. It's pretty miserable out. So just got back from watering seedlings, and the broccoli and cabbage are going vertical, so that's a good thing, right? But yeah, so any guys got any questions? I'm sure people will roll in since I messed up earlier. And if you don't have a question, just how's your garden doing, stuff like that. But like I said, this is just for you guys. I got nothing planned. So I can sit here quiet, or you can ask whatever you want. We can answer it. I should probably check the questions up top too. Oh. Twisted Pixie, what's going on in your garden? Same for you, 54 Cal, and whoever else is here. Let us know what's going on in y'all's garden. Mine's hot and being planted. That's about it. I got some seedlings up here that are starting to wilt, so I need to water them as soon as I'm done here, which is by design. Trying to get them stronger so they can be more willing to grow when we go to put them out. So other than that, let's see, the broccoli is doing good, the cabbage is doing good, sweet potatoes are coming up in a day. No, probably about 4 or 5 days we'll probably pull our sweet potatoes. It's hot, so I don't really want to go out there and work when it's in the 90s. We're supposed to get some crazy cool down. It's supposed to be like 20 degrees cooler, so we'll do that. And that will get us, the only thing we'll have left for summer will be our popcorn, which I'm really ready to get rid of, Seminole pumpkins, black-eyed peas, and green beans. And so those all just kind of finish our life cycle out, and we'll get to planting. So next week should be a busy planting week for me if everything goes well. Hey, Connie, how's it going? Oh, I just found the question. Sorry. Twisted Pixie wants to know, how do I know what I can sow now? So really, unless you live in like California, Texas, or Florida, I would say, anything that's cool season. So if you grow it in the spring, you can grow it in the fall. We've got what, 3 more weeks of the summer season, and then by the calendar, fall will begin. So I would say at this point, no, never mind. Now I see that you're in northern Indiana. So in northern Indiana, let's see. I can pull up the seed charting start right now. Seed starting chart. You could do kale, collards, radishes, turnips. You could probably squeeze in rutabaga, spinach. You could put in cabbage starts. You could put in lettuce starts and direct sow lettuce. You could put in broccoli starts. What else can you do? I'd say that'd be about it. When's your first frost date? Do you know, Twisted Pixie? If you tell me your first frost date, we can kind of narrow it down. But really, anything that likes the cold. I pulled everything from the garden. I don't know. So yeah, that's really everything that you can put in. Just think of spring. So you're just flopping it the opposite way. The only difference is you're coming into a frost, and everything that I just read off to you can absolutely survive a frost. Some of it can even survive a freeze, and you can probably grow without any structures. I would say into November, you could probably grow. As we get cooler, a lot of the plants will start to like it more. So hopefully that helps. And then just be aware of like heat. I know you in Indiana. Nope, I don't know about Indiana. I know about Illinois. Illinois is getting some pretty heavy heat yesterday. So imagine you guys are on the same timeline-ish, if I'm not mistaken. So you could be dealing with that. So you might need to do some heat protection and up your watering. And that would really be about it. So hopefully that answered your question. Any other questions, you can drop them in the live chat or in the question box, wherever it shows up. I'm open to whatever. Hey, Dave, how's it going? Glad you got in. And while we're here today, if you guys have a topic that you want to do, I believe I can do next week. Let me see. Yeah, I can do next Wednesday. So if you guys got something like that, if you got something you want to talk about, drop it. And if we see something, I'll put a poll up at the end. 54 cows got blight starting to hit tomatoes. Short day granos are, I don't know what a PRR onion is. Are around baseball size. I can't complain. Good deal. Very good deal. Yeah, I can't remember exactly where you are, but I know it's not California. So you must need to grow long day onions where you are. My tomatoes all died as I predicted in July. So we just kind of moved on from them. It's all right. That tomato season was okay this year. We had the raccoon really did a number on them. Dave, what's going on in your garden? And Connie, what's going on in your garden? Let us know. And again, if you guys have questions, this is what you guys wanted, so ask the questions. I got nothing prepared. Nothing at all. Are you experiment? Yeah, because granos are a short day, I believe. So, and I've never tried to grow on purpose long day onions where I'm in like intermediate zone. So it's mostly short day, but I've only grown short day. I don't know if I'm gonna grow onions next year. I don't know if it's worth the bed space. I've done it for the past 3 or 4 years, and I think I've gotten my fill. I think I might take a year off. I know some people may be upset about that, but I think it's sometimes in my garden I cycle things out and move them, get things in and out. I'll grow something for a couple years and so I think we're going to take that up. Plus it leaves a bunch of my beds in the middle of the season where there's just kind of awkward planting times. So I think I'm going to move away from that. So Dave put up cattle panel tunnels, which I did see a picture of, and they look good. They look real good. So cattle panels, I like cattle panel tunnels. I think they look cool in the garden, but more so why I like them is because they're very useful. And I've really enjoyed growing on mine. They don't ever fill in like I want them to, just the way the garden is situated. If I had my tunnels rotated 90 degrees, they'd probably grow a lot better and kind of give you that picturesque look. But as far as what they have, what I've been growing on, that's been really nice. I haven't decided when I move my wild garden over, which I did seed buckwheat in the wild garden, and it's now germinated. And I also put in some like a fall cover crop mix, just to kind of keep it going, give the bees something to keep them busy. And once that dies off, we're going to move those beds. I don't know if I'm going to put another cattle panel in or not. I haven't decided just yet. Yeah, Connie, I'm in the same thing. I'm restarting everything too. That's just the name of the season. That's the name of the game. So we started a couple weeks ago. We've been emptying out beds over the past month, and now we're starting to put stuff back in beds. So it's just kind of it's a transition period is what we like to call it. I wish there was a catchy term for it, but there is no term for it. It's just our gardens, especially the farther south you go, that's just how it is. Brian wants to know if I plan on enlarging my garden, or have I found the perfect size for me? Brian. Yeah, I'm saying it right. Okay, good. Brian. So it's a good question. I've built this garden at this property, which hopefully I'll be here for many, many years, has grown over the years. I started with one bed, and then I went to 4 beds, and then I went from 4 beds, added a 5th bed, and then I added that whole wild garden area, and then I added 2 more beds. So we got up to 11 beds, and the greenhouse was added in there, but that doesn't count. And I find that the main part of my garden, which is 7 beds, is pretty good. It depends on how I plant. I do a lot of monocropping now, which and when I say monocropping, each bed is monocrop, which I really do enjoy doing. It's just the timing of it's a little bit different, so it's taking me a little bit of time to figure it out. But I'm going to move the wild garden from the space it is, which is where it gets a lot of shade. So things tend to struggle to grow after about July. And I'm going to move that into the main part of my garden. So when you see me in the videos and stuff, and I'll do all this on camera at some point, I don't know if I'll do it there or I'll show you or how it's going to work. But anyways, you'll see all 11 beds out there. What I'm anticipating is, even though that I'm not adding bed space, I'm going to be more productive. And those 4 beds, I'm predicting, and I'm going to be very curious to see how it comes out, because it's a pretty bold statement. but I'm 100% more effective, productive, because we're going to get more seasons out of those beds and more sunlight out of those beds. And what I'm thinking is that those 11 beds should do me pretty good. I've got a lot of other space to work on. That's just not food, flowers, landscaping, which isn't really my forte. I kind of have a really bad outlook on it. It's just like throw seeds out there. It's kind of what I want to do, and just. But I'm thinking that these 11 beds in the correct space will, in fact, be enough for me. And I think we're right about there now where we are. So should work out good. That's a great question, Brian, because it's one of those things where people are like, how big of a garden should I get? Well, I think you need to what you can handle, and I think this is about what I can handle by myself. Twisted Pixie wants to know, where can I get info on what to plant when? Well, I make custom planting charts, seed starting charts, and I'm doing a batch of them tomorrow. I've had some people that had emailed me last week, and I was on vacation, and I'm going to be making them tomorrow. So if you've ordered it and you're watching, I'm making them tomorrow. But you can email me. They cost $10, and you can send it through Venmo to Sandy Bottom Homestead, and I can make it for you. It's just make sure you include your zip code. But otherwise, it's just Google it up, man, and trial and error. I mean, that's really the only way to do it. Planting is basically a math equation. You got your first frost date, your last frost date, and so you just do math in between for how long things take to grow, and then also understanding what plants can take a frost or freeze and what can't, and then your overall climate. So there's a lot to it, but it works out in that manner. Yeah, Dave, which way did mine go? Mine go east and west, but it doesn't matter because of all the trees I have. Hey, Bricktop, I haven't seen you in quite a while. So I'm in North Carolina, coastal North Carolina, and my previous garden was in Plymouth, Massachusetts, where I lived for 10 years when I worked for the government, National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration. And we had a garden up there. My biggest challenge in New England compared to here, the biggest challenge was, and this is why, many reasons why I came back home, was being from the South. My body was not used to the weather up there, the patterns, meaning in February, I'm used to getting a 70-degree day. And there, you can't even spell 70 degrees. So the planting schedule was really messed up in my mind, and I could never get it under control. And the lack of heat for some of the crops was an issue. And what I didn't realize when I lived up there, and I wish I would have, and I've made this recommendation to Batavia on the Backyard Gardens podcast before, is like, if I lived up there again, which I never will, but if I did, I would grow my spring crops through the majority of the year, what we typically think of spring crops, because I believe up there. We had a group of people where I worked, and a lot of us were getting into gardening. I don't know if you realize this, but there's an age group of when people start to get into gardens, and it's like early 30s, and then it just goes for the rest of their lives. I can see it in my analytics. I can see it in people that I talk to. I can see it through the podcast. Like, that's the age group that we have, and it's been like that forever. And everybody I talk to is always the same. Once they get into their, low 30s, they start to garden and they get into it early or late 20s. And I would just, they were born and raised up there, and they would have cabbage throughout the whole season, where I didn't. I thought that being from the South, it was the same, and it really wasn't. my planting to where I am. That would be the issue. So if I went back up there now, it would be a total ball game. Hey, Cape Fear. My favorite time of year. Um, my favorite time of year is summer, but not for gardening. My favorite time of year for gardening is spring and fall, but for my life, it's summer. I love surfing. I love doing anything around the water. Clearly, and my favorite time of year, as your follow up question, is definitely spring. And to be honest, I really like growing in the wintertime. And it's not that I'm planting, but I'm maintaining crops and kind of pushing them to grow. I really enjoy that because it's out of the norm. There's a garden on the side of the road by my house, and they have an amazing garden from June to now, or from May till now, and then they pull it up. But people don't understand you can keep growing, and that's been my whole purpose of this channel. My legs are fidgety. Sorry, the camera keeps moving. It's You can keep growing much longer into more seasons, and a lot of people just don't realize that. And it's really sad because I pass it every day when I go surfing. I pass this garden and it's totally emptied now. They've cleared it out. It's all gone. And it's like that every year. And really, we're just getting into prime time. Tracy wants to know, how do I preserve my garden harvest? Well, I freeze it, I dry it, I can it, and my favorite method of preservation is storage. So sweet potatoes, winter squashes, white potatoes, onions, anything that I don't have to do anything with. Black-eyed peas. You can see in my garden and my how I grow. Like right now, everything is long storage crops. That's my favorite. I don't have to do a damn thing. And as a matter of fact, and this is solely because of um, my my raccoon that ate my tomatoes this year, but also because of the choice of tomatoes that I grew. I kind of went outside my box, which we'll be talking about here in a couple of videos soon. I did not can a single thing this year, and it was really nice not having the canner. It's just something I did not need to have in my life this year. Been way too busy. Thankfully, this channel has grown, and I'm very grateful all of y'all are here. It's been awesome. The podcast has picked up, and the bees have been keeping me really busy. So I'm glad I haven't been at canning this year, but typically I do a lot of canning, and I will be getting back into that next year. I'm going to alter my garden plan to factor that back in. Dave, I grew up with my grandfather going to his garden, and I hated it. I absolutely hated it, and he loved it more than anything. And I never wanted to have a garden. And then one day, here I am. You know, I'd be interested to know what drives people to garden. I mean, there's a million different reasons, and I don't know if there's any way to like sum it up. But I wanted to know how to grow food when there was no food available. I realized that I didn't want to be one of those people. It's like, and excuse my French, but oh shit, there's no food in the grocery store. Let me grow something and learn it. I wanted to already know how to do it. So I'd be like, okay, let me just grow more. So that's really where I started. And it's just kind of ballooned from there. Jason has something weird going on with his corn, or some of the corn doesn't seem to have ears, but they're growing on the tassel at the top of the plant. Well, Jason, unfortunately, I am not a corn expert by any stretch of the imagination. But what I know about corn is pollination, 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 pollination. It's all about, if you get like funky ears, it's mostly about the pollination. And the other thing is water. So when corn is producing kernels, it needs a lot of water. of like turn your water on overnight and walk away. Sometimes, as when it's really plumping up. So that wouldn't cause it to kind of form off the kernel. I would imagine, if I had to make a semi-educated guess, and this is just, I don't know a lot about corn, or I don't have a lot of experience. Let me put it that way. It's about pollination. And so how do you get around that? You plant big blocks of it. And then, that's why I have a whole 4x8 bed of popcorn, which is an incredible waste of space. I mean, I wish it was sweet corn, whatever. I've been beating myself up all summer over it. But what I did is, as it all started to get ready and drop the pollen, I go out and I run my hand across the top every day and make sure that it's getting, that pollen is getting onto the corn itself. Brian wants to know if anybody on YouTube anyone that has influenced me on YouTube or otherwise. As a gardener, no, not really. I used to watch YouTube channels about gardening a lot, and one of the reasons why I made my channel the way I did, and we started to do the podcast the way we do it, and the reason why I wanted, and I hope Batavia is silently listening. A lot of times she is. I wanted to have Batavia on there is because she's in a different area. And I had experience in a colder area. I'm in a warmer area. And so what I quickly realized is a lot of people will tell you there's a really big garden channel, which I'm not going to say any names, and you need to plant this in August. Well, that's for their area, which happens to be very temperate. But for a lot of people like Brian and Twisted Pixie and all you people that are up north, that stuff doesn't even matter to you. And so I always try to keep all of that in mind when I make my videos. Like I have the tomorrow what I'm planning in August videos coming out. In the beginning of it, it's like, hey, if you're north of me, you need to be a little bit before. And if you're south of me, you need to be a little bit after. But just that little piece. But because I grew up here watching people garden and being involved in it, and then starting a garden up north. And when I was living up north is when I was really starting to consume a lot of YouTube, and I was starting to see that there was a disconnect about climate and stuff, like, because weather's always driven everything that I've done. And every time I talk about weather on anything, it falls on deaf ear. We can see the numbers drop. It's hilarious, but it's so important to what we do. So it's just kind of one of those things. So I've learned techniques from people, but they haven't really influenced the way that I garden, if that makes any sense whatsoever. In the very beginning, I can't say his last name, but Gary Pilchak. I mean, I'm talking 10, 15 years ago now. I would watch him, and I learned a lot from him. There wasn't a lot of garden YouTubers. Now people are everywhere. So, and I just can't keep up with it. I do enjoy watching people's channels though, and just seeing how they have their gardens laid out, stuff like that. That's really interesting to me. Oh, thank you, Brian, Bricktop Brian. I'm glad that we can help you with that. And honestly, between this and the podcast, it helps us get through that seasonal, because I don't want to say it's a rush. It's not like we're jumping out of airplanes, but it's a lot in the season, in the main season, and then it's like all of a sudden it just stops. And we try to find ways to keep people going, because we realize that gardening isn't just a hobby, it's also a lifestyle. I mean, it's the middle of the day and you guys are sitting here watching some goofy bald-headed gray bearded guy talk about gardening. Like, this is your lifestyle. You grow your food and you cherish your food, and in the wintertime we want to keep that going. We want to expand, and we've always had that thought process of like, wintertime is the time to like learn new things and study up and analyze and start seeds and everything else. So we try to we really want to keep that going. So I'm glad that helped you. See, Jason, I mean, you already had it in your blood if you were willing to step up and help her. I mean, my granny, she's 96 years old and she still grows cherry tomatoes. She grows them in her house in a hydroponic system. She's had the same plant for 4 years now. So she doesn't grow much, but she grows that. Let me check the question section. Hold, please. Okay. I'm sorry if I missed you, but we are getting there. Our Marie. My seed starting mix, cocoa, I can't ever say that. Cocoa, y'all know what I'm talking about. Perlite and vermiculite seems to remain too much moisture. I have a lot of dampening off. What would you recommend? I recommend you remove the vermiculite. You can use the cocoa or whatever. Put that down, put a divot in, put your seed in the divot, put the perlite on top and water it. I got plenty of videos about that on there. You can go check it out. I got a list like starting seeds easy or something. You can see how I do it. Great germination ever since I did that. No issues. Check that out. Dave, for my drip irrigation, do I do longer times or heavy waterings? He has a 4-gallon per hour drippers. It only takes 4 to 7 minutes in a 20-gallon grow bag for it to be soaked, but we have 1/2 to 2 gallon per hour in the main garden. I water with my drip system. Right now, it's about to change, but right now we're doing twice a week for 75 minutes. 73 minutes. I'm weird. I don't like even numbers. And I know 75 is not an even number. I don't like that 5 at the end. So it either has to be 71, 73, or 77. Whatever. Don't judge. So that's what I do on my garden. I'm not sure how many gallons it turns out to be. I custom built my drip system. So it's based, the amount of gallons per hour is based off of the water pressure. But it's a steady drip. It's not like really fast or anything like that. It's been working great. All right, let me go back to the live chat. So yeah, if you guys, again, if you have questions, drop them in the chat, or there's a box up top for questions. Either one, I'll go back and forth. YouTube just said, put your questions here. So I said, fine, I'll do what you say, whatever. Jeff, I feel you, man. It's 94 degrees today. Bro, it's hot. My cabbage that I put in the other day is sprouted, and I am going to be adding my shade cloth tomorrow, more than likely, because we're preparing to put in our seedlings that are needing to be watered pretty bad. So somebody made me this cup. They were starting a business. He felt like I needed my name really big on my cup. So it's my cup. Don't forget, it's my cup. This is really nice, though. I appreciate it. Hey, Vicky. Eastern Washington. So let me make sure that I've answered everything. If I haven't, just yell. I just saw your comment, Twisted Pixie, about cucumbers. I didn't get any. This is the second year in a row I didn't get any cucumbers. This year was my fault, though. I planted it where I had the mosaic virus and didn't realize that the cucumbers get affected by mosaic virus. So, yeah, it is. There was a whole thing about my garden this year, and I appreciate everybody's comments about how they like my garden and stuff like that. And I do like my garden, but I had an issue this year where I kind of went really heavy with long season crops and didn't have enough short season crops. So I don't know if you remember, in the spring, I had this goal, and the goal was to not have huge periods where there was no harvest. Well, I did really, really good, and everything was moving right along. We got in, we wasn't just one or two, it was like bring it into the house. We had plenty. March, April, May, June, half of June, and then July and August have been basically almost big fat donut holes. So we've got to go back to the drawing board and work on that. That's not how I want my garden to run. I'm expecting, we're now starting to get Seminole pumpkins again, so we'll be doing that. We'll be getting our green beans now, so we'll be kind of working on that. But we won't really start getting more harvest until probably late September, October, November, and then December. And then we hope to kick it back up, and maybe, if I can get the greenhouse right, January, and then February it'll pick up again. So I got some work to do. I got some planning to do. And that's why I wanted to move that wild garden over, because that will help allow me, for the way that I plant. Yeah, Jason, I got my drip system from Drip Tebow as well. I had done a number of them. I had gotten one from Lowe's. I got one from Amazon. I got one from Home Depot, and they all just sucked. I mean, they were just total crap. And I was like, I hate drip systems. And then I finally was doing some research, found Drip Depot, started figuring everything out. And then all of a sudden it just kind of clicked. And so then I built my system, and I made the investment, and it hurt, but I've been very happy with it. And it's been very nice to have. Vicky wants to know, mosaic virus, where does it come from? How does it spread? How to treat for it. You can't treat for it. It spreads by getting in the ground. And I got it from Japanese beetles. They spread it when they bite the plants. They will infect the plant, and then it goes down into the soil. So if you look at my garden where my rutabaga bed is, like in the next video, it'll be the only one with the shade cloth on it. I took that trellis down because we had the mosaic virus last year. And then this year I said, well, hey, I'm not going to plant my green beans there. Let's put cucumbers there. And they started doing really, really good. And the same thing, they just started wilting. So it's clearly not out of the soil. So I took that down completely and said no more trellising, because then I won't be encouraged to put anything up that will be susceptible to the mosaic virus. So you will see that there is no trellis there. The skeleton for it is, but that will be going as well soon. So I can use that somewhere else. But yeah, Connie, I wonder if it's it's our sinful nature to rebel against our parents and our parents. I wonder if it's got something to do with that, because I was the same way. I didn't care about plants. Everybody around me did, but clearly I like to eat. So yeah, Japanese beetles suck. I mean, any pests like that, in my opinion, you expect to get it. You expect to see them. And once you learn how to treat them, it's not a big deal. It's just getting off your ass and treating them. I mean, that's the truth of it, is instead of being like, oh, there's a Japanese beetle, I'll come out, and then 2 weeks later, the Japanese beetles are eating it, I should treat. It's just go treat it and be done with it. And it's not a big deal. A lot of the problem, I think, is, and I'm sure there's going to be people in here that are going to get mad about this, but whatever. People that don't want to treat in their gardens because they think it's horrible. I've got a friend, and his wife, very, very natural. Doesn't take any medicines. Everything's herbs, herbal stuff like that. You know, herbal supplements, and thinks she's very cautious about what she eats. And they were asking me how I take care of pests, and I said, well, I use neem oil, I use BT, and if I have to, I'll use pyrethrin oil on it. And I'm like, well, it's all organic. And she's like, yeah, but I'm like, didn't you just go out to eat last night? Because that food you just ate is way worse. And didn't you just, you think people don't put anything, even the organic gardeners, farmers, they put stuff on their crops too. Let's not trip. So why should I be any different and watch all of my stuff collapse because you don't want to have a chemical on it? Like, it's natural chemical. I don't know what to tell you. If I didn't put anything on these plants, they won't survive. I will have nothing, and all my work will be for nothing. So we just got to treat them, I've heard about the hydrogen peroxide, and I use that on my tomatoes to treat the leaf spot that I get. Not to treat, to prevent the leaf spot. Jeff, the last word is blocked by this stupid heart icon. This icon right here. I don't know why. There we go. Somebody else said something. Jeff from East Tennessee. My little broccoli is stretching a little. It's in the back. It's in the shade. Will they grow out of this when back in the sun? So what broccoli will do, they'll do that, right? And so what I do, if I get this, I bury this part. And that does help to give it a little bit more support. So I used to have really bad, the broccoli kind of, it would fall over, but then the sun would, and it would go back up. But then you kind of get, it just became a mess. So I started burying it a little deeper, and it actually started to work. So try that. Yeah, that's right, Dave. It's not a cure, but what the hydrogen peroxide does is, I think it's H3O. It's more acidic, so it makes it an inhospitable environment for disease to grow, just like on our bodies, right? And so that's the idea of it. The only reason why I don't put it in my soil is just, I don't know. I don't want to put stuff like that in the soil because I feel like it could neutralize anything positive in it, but then you got something negative in it. So what do? I may end up taking that row this winter when I am refilling my beds, and I may actually dig out that row and take that soil out and then put that back in. That may be what I end up doing, just to kind of help cut it a little bit. Yeah, see, it'll neutralize microbes. And, when it comes to microbes in soil, that's frustrating, man. I mean, everybody's like, do you feed the microbes? I'm like, well, I think I feed the microbes. I don't see the microbes. I don't know if they're there, but I'm trying to. It's very frustrating to me. But I just do the best I can, and that's really what I want people to do, is just do the best they can. Yeah, well, see, another thing with hydrogen peroxide is if you put it in the sunlight, the sun actually breaks it down. So you want to use it on a cloudy day. And I know I mentioned it about the leaf spot on my tomatoes, and I'll just tell you what I do. I would have done a video for it this year, but I didn't need to. But what I do is I start, and it's like 1 tablespoon per gallon. And then a couple days later, I'll do 2 tablespoons, all the way up to 5 tablespoons of hydrogen peroxide per gallon. Do it on a cloudy day, or later in the evening, so it has time to dry, and you just spray the whole plant top and bottom, and that makes those leaves inhospitable environment for the disease to fester. And it can reverse it a little bit, but what it is preventative maintenance. So, hey, Moon Sprout from Texas, welcome. But yeah, I'm glad that pest season's coming to an end as far as summer pest goes, and just gearing up for winter pests, fall pests. So we'll have the cabbage moth, the worms, aphids, which they're not really a big deal. What else? That's about it. I mean, it's really a lot more simple in the fall, and then going into the winter, a lot of times they just kind of get killed. And the beauty of it is a lot of the plants we grow in the fall will live through the frosts and some of the freezes, but the pests won't. So that really helps a lot too. And the best thing I ever did to help with roly-polies, I don't call them pill bugs or roly-polies. They always will be. Long live the roly-poly. The name roly-poly. Slugs and snails is getting rid of the wood chips in my garden. End story. End scene. That's it. Once I got rid of that, they were gone. Very minimal issues. I've never used Seven Dust. I use I've told you. Till I'm blue in the face, I've told everybody what I use. And diatomaceous earth, I use it around my beehives to keep the ants from going in it, but I don't use it in my garden because as soon as it gets wet, it's useless. So it's just kind of a futile effort in my opinion, but it's tough. It's one of those things. And I think one of the things I like about gardening and I like about gardeners, most gardeners, especially the gardeners on my channel, I seem to have a lot of people who are non-judgmental because you realize that it's your garden and you have the ability to make the choices to what you want to use in your garden. And I don't judge anybody for that. And I ask the same respect. But I think that's the beautiful things. There's so many different options, from organic to synthetic to but everybody finds something that they're comfortable with and they work with it that way. Moonsprout has a bunch of brassicas started inside. Is it time to put them out? Well, where are you at in Texas? And while I wait, have I watched Lazy Dog Farms? He has great videos. I have watched Trav. I like him. He's very good and very smart. Smarter than what you would think. And he has the mind to kind of put it scientific mind. He's got a master's degree, and I don't remember what it was. I think it was biology. So he can kind of put it together, and I think that's something that's kind of helped me because I was a scientist before this. I was a marine biologist, and I can kind of it's not like, hey, I can't do it. You just have to learn how to do it, and once you learn it, you can start to do it. Central AB. Okay, so Texas is broken up into the state of Texas has broken itself up into three growing zones. And the two main ones are around Houston and Dallas. And which one are you closer to, Houston or Dallas? Because if you look at the growing zone map, the line goes down the central. So, and I mean, I'll look right here. While you're doing that, I'll come back to you. Thanks, Jeff. I see you comment all the time, and I appreciate it because you're Jeff from East Tennessee. And I love that you put that in, everyone, because that's more useful than Tennessee, and zones and stuff like that. I don't right in the middle. Okay. Give me a second, Moonsprout. I will tell you what I would do. I wouldn't put them out yet. I need to pull up. I don't do my seed starting charts at this computer, but let me see if I can pull them up right quick. Give me 1 second. So Texas. So August is the month in where I believe you are in Texas to start your cabbage seeds. That's the month to start them. So then you go and you say 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks after that's when you plant them out. So, and again, I know a lot of you guys are in here and I haven't advertised it much lately, but I do those seed starting charts for people. So if you want one, you can email me, right at the email at the bottom of the videos and stuff like that. I'm kind of slow getting them out sometimes, but I do get them out. Promise you. And I know there's some people that are nervous because they're like, I would never do that. I would never email a guy on YouTube and be like, here's my $10. It's super nerve wracking. So I get it. Trust me. I truly get it. I've been ripped off by many people before. It sucks. All right. Any other questions? And then also, while we got everybody here, next video, or what do you guys want to talk about? I'm not picking you. Thank you, Jeff. Yeah, I had a lot of people that were really mad about that. I think you mean the shade house when I beat it with a bat. A lot of people were really mad about it, and that's actually why I left the bones out there in case they come back, they can just see it all smashed up. That and I've been lazy, so there is. But I've got to get out into my actual and get it ready, so that's going to be a pain. But next week we're supposed to get this really cool stretch, and I'm going to take full advantage of it. So I think it's Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. It's supposed to be a high in the 70s. So we're going to be hardening off, planting, cleaning greenhouse, watering, and seeding all within those 3 days. It's going to be a lot, but that's the way we do it. And also repairing drip systems that the stupid ass raccoon's eating up. He got me the other night too. Son of a, insert word. Garden design and bed placement. Okay. Anybody else? Anybody? Bueller. I got like bad cotton mouth. I was working in my bees today. It was super hot. It's crazy. And if you guys are curious about my bees, I don't do them on the channel. Here, I made another channel because I released bee videos on here and nobody watched them. So I made a whole nother channel. It's called Sandy Bottom Bees. If you guys ever want to learn about bees or anything like that, it's just my experience with bees and kind of my journey doing it. So you can check that out for sure. Thank you, Dave. That's very generous of you. Raccoon traps that are tubular. Let me look it up. Tubular. Okay. Oh, hell yeah. Okay. I'm on it. I don't know if those are YouTube friendly, but I'm on it. Central Colorado. Yeah, Jason, it can be a pain in the butt, a true pain in the butt. Short day onion planting times. Moonsprout, bees are doable on 100 square feet. You don't need land. They fly. Yeah, I found something like that, Dave. I'll send it to you on Instagram so you can approve it. How's that? But yeah, bees are definitely doable. They help my garden, kind of. They don't. It doesn't boost pollination like you would think. Bees are very picky about the pollen that they consume. We're not talking about bumblebees. We're talking about honeybees. There's a difference. And truth be told, I don't find them in my garden often. They're around it, but not really in it. Thank you, Connie. That's my goal. Last year, a friend of mine told me, she said, "How long are you going to be on YouTube showing plants with nothing in it, or gardens with nothing in it?" And I said, "Well, just keep watching." And then he called me back 4 months later and said, "Oh my God, I can't believe it. Your garden's totally full." And I'm like, "Did you watch the whole time?" And she said, "Yeah." And she could watch each step as it went and how things grew and progressed. And that was my goal, without doing some weird vlog about my family. And, I don't know, stuff's kind of weird. So I try to show the garden as much as possible. And truth, I know it's hard to believe, but I try not to show my face on camera much, but sometimes it is what it is. And some videos you get more of me than others. Yeah, honeybees aren't really the pollinators. The pollinators that gardeners need to consider are wasps. And when I say wasps, I don't mean like stinging wasps. I mean all kinds of wasps. There's all kinds of them. All the little bugs and stuff that we all see and don't know what they are. Those are all pollinators. That's what we want. Honeybees, not so much. They prefer to go to trees and stuff like that. They'll hit flowers, but you got to think, if a honeybee is making honey, so it needs as much nectar as possible. So what's going to give you more nectar? A field of flowers or a maple tree with about 1,000,000 buds on it? One tree. And that's what they'd rather have. That's why you get like tulip poplar honey, and I mean you'll get cotton honey and stuff like that, but mostly it's trees that do it. And the only reason why they call it wildflower is because we don't know what it is. So that's just the generic term that we use for honey, is wildflower honey. If you want to support a honeybee population, I'll tell you what to plant: buckwheat, goldenrod, black-eyed Susan, basil. Let it flower. Don't trim it. And if I could give you a fifth one, that's really it. That will help support a honeybee population. Any bee population really, but really specifically that in your garden. Without you having bees, you just wanted to. That's what you plant. You won't get basil honey. You'll get, what it does is the basil produces a protein in the pollen that the bees can use to feed their young in the summer when there is no other pollen available. So that's, and clover. Yeah. Clover is not as important because it's in spring. When it flowers mostly in spring, and there's other stuff, but it is also a good supplement. So yeah. Oh, and if you every week will help too. No, my bees do not eat the zinnias. Then I have a huge lantana bush with thousands of flowers on it. And I was just out there. I think I counted 30 butterflies on it. I don't know how many bumblebees are on it. And then I had like 4 or 5 hummingbirds on it. And no, I've never seen a honeybee on it. Never. And it is full. And that's when I learned that not all flowers are created equal in the eyes of a honeybee. Yep. Building little places like that in your garden is great. I mean, even like that little garden gnome that I have out there, like if you lift up under the foot, there's stuff living under there. Don't rake up your leaves and so soon. Yeah, my zinnias have started blooming again, so that's nice. The bed, I'll have to show you. I think I'm due for a garden tour soon. I'll take you over to that spot where I just kind of threw seeds out and show you what happens when you just throw seeds out. It's looking okay for, as little effort as I put into it. It's looking pretty good. All right, so I'm going to put a poll up here. And let you guys pick what you want to hear about next Wednesday. Right, so it's going to be garden design, and at some point somebody had mentioned composting. So if you guys want to comment or vote on that, and then we can do either one. Again, all of these lives are always driven by you guys. I don't have it in me to come up with another topic, so it's always up to you. I don't care. That's crazy, Jason. That's real crazy. After a month of summer weather, you had a foot of snow. I guess that's something you always got to be prepared for. All right, everybody, you're watching, vote, or you don't have a reason to complain next Wednesday. You still have to be here, though. You just can't complain. How's that? I'm going to give it 2 minutes on the poll. 2 minutes on the poll. Any other questions? Last questions. I can keep going, but don't want to drag you guys out too long. And next Wednesday, my plan is not to have it mess up when I start again. It's becoming a habit that I don't like. I'm glad you guys have give me grace on that, though. And 54 Cal, you said don't mow your grass in the clover. Let the clover grow. There's a thing called no mow May people have done. And just so you know, if you let's say you're letting the clover grow in the month of May, this is just the month of May, because people are like, they don't mow at all and they think they're helping. Well, the flower gets to a point, and if you cut it, it'll actually rebloom again and help. So we have somebody in the neighborhood, they have a whole yard over, and I looked at it this year, and around May 10th, the clover flowers were dead, and they didn't come back at all until after they mowed in June. So think about that. When you're doing that, like give it an interim mowing or something like that, because that re-triggers plants. It's just like deadheading is all it is. You're just doing it with a giant lawnmower. Yeah, Connie, they do get boring. I agree. I do agree. I'm going to be redoing my composting video. Redoing my composting bin, and I may do that. But as far as like composting, that it's been covered, man. Well, thank you, Moonsprout. We hope to see you again soon. In South Georgia, all right. Wanda, I don't know how to say your name, so I'm just gonna call you Wanda. What temperature do you want your greenhouse to be? Your lowest low temperature? You're more than welcome, Vicky. You're more than welcome. I'm going to end the poll. So we're going to talk about garden design. Only 9 of you voted, though, so more of you have no reason to complain. And the reason why I asked Wanda is if you, but okay, what kind of veggies do you want to grow? Let's put it that way. Because if you grow the right kind of veggies, you don't need anything in South Georgia. You just need to keep it shut and keep it ventilated, keep the heat out in the daytime. If you want tomatoes, it's going to be much more complicated. So that's why I ask. I'm in North Carolina, and I don't have any kind of heating system in mine at all. And I grow all winter in my greenhouse. If you want tomatoes and peppers, you're going to have to do a wood stove, something like that. If you want to do collards, cabbage, kale, lettuce, radishes, turnips, rutabagas, spinach, broccoli, cauliflower, any of that stuff, you don't need anything to warm up your greenhouse at all in South Georgia. You can just let it roll. Hope that helps. I smell another greenhouse video, though. I've had quite a few questions recently, which is right on par with the season. So I feel another video coming out. All right, everybody. So next Wednesday at 2:00, I'll put it to talk about garden design. Again, ask questions. I don't know what direction I will go with it. I'll have to think about it, but we'll definitely talk about, being that everybody here is already set up, we're probably going to onions and potatoes can probably go in there too, Wanda. Yep. Potatoes are a little bit more sensitive. I've got some greenhouse videos that you can watch, and you just check out my greenhouse playlist. I think it's on there. And just think north of me, and he's growing this with no heat. So what can you do south? And get yourself a thermometer. And if you go to the Amazon link in all of the videos, there is a Govee thermometer. It's like $15. It wires to your phone. Put it in there, and you start monitoring the temperatures. And you're going to learn the trends of your greenhouse. And what you're going to be able to see mostly is how much above your nightly low is your greenhouse. And then you can start to judge from there. But you should be pretty good if you grow the right crops. So next Wednesday, 2:00, I will put a post up. I hope to see you guys there. And other than that, everybody have a fantastic day, and we will see you soon. See ya.